Chicago Multifam Deal of the day here, where I go in depth on a 3 or 4 unit Chicago property that I think has some positive potential that I feel like going into a little bit more in depth than I normally do in my newsletter. So, in this edition, I am going to be talking about 1836 North Central Park Avenue. Here's where that is. It's technically in within the Logan Square community area, but it's in this between area between Logan Square, Hermosa, Humboldt Park. It's right by the 606, the walking biking trail, which is definitely a plus. And yeah, so that's where that is. I have no direct affiliation or even an indirect affiliation with this property. This property, I have not even seen it in person or anything. Everything I'm going off of is based on what I can glean from pictures and from what they disclose or describe in the listing. The listing is courtesy of Arelis Santamaria with Exit Strategy Realty. So thank you, Arelis, for letting me talk about your property a little bit. So 1836 North Central Park, it's 4 units. It's 11 beds, 6 baths in total. Let's go through some of the photos. It's usually a pretty decent place to start. So right away, you see it's a frame building with siding that in Chicago, I know a lot of investors have feelings about those kinds of buildings versus brick and stone and whatnot. Those opinions can vary, but doesn't mean that buildings like this can't make money for you, right? So at the end of the day, that's what we're really looking for. So a couple exterior, you see the interior, at least in one of these units here, nice finishes, seems to be well renovated, up to date. Got in-unit laundry is always good. Dishwasher, above average kitchens, I'd say. Bathroom's nice. This is closer to your standard rental grade kitchen here, but definitely seen worse. Hardwood floors. And then we see some outdoor spaces. Nice outdoor space. Not sure I'm at that. Might just be across the street. That's the 606 trail. Another vantage point of the 606 trail. This is just some stuff that's in the neighborhood, etc. One thing I liked about this listing is that we didn't have to do a whole lot of guesswork about what the rents could be going for because it is mostly rented out. 3 of the 4 units are rented out. Some of them go until next year. So we have a pretty good idea, a very good idea of what the market rate is for those. And it looks like the rent that they're getting is pretty on par with what I would understand the market rate rents to be, if not even getting a little bit on the higher end of that expectation, which makes sense because it seems like a nice building, especially on the inside. So you see one of unit one, the three bed, 2 bath getting 1950. Unit two, this is the one vacant unit. They're saying 2250 on that. I'm not sure exactly since it's vacant. I'm not sure exactly where they're getting their number on that. That might be a little optimistic, or that might be from a previous tenant. In whatever case, it's not so far off that I would call them out on it by any means. It's probably about right, depending, especially if that unit's one of the nicer ones that we saw in the photos. Sometimes it's hard to tell which unit we're really actually looking at. And then 1650 and then 2600 for a 2 and 2, which that looks to expire sometime in October of 2024, but looks like that's about what they're getting. And again, I'm guessing that that's one of the more fixed up units that we saw. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and do the fun part, which is running the numbers. So here in my handy dandy calculator, investment calculator template Google Sheet deal. So we have the asking price. I'm just running everything based on the asking price of $869,000, and putting the rents here in the current rents. Although one of them would technically be kind of a pro forma since it's a vacant unit, but I think we can go ahead and just slide that in there. I think it's fine. 4 units, and we're running it as a 25% down payment at 7% interest rate, and then we're doing area specific estimates for what maintenance budget should be and vacancy rates and things like that. Definitely a lot of guesswork going on here. We're just trying to get ballpark figures as always. This stuff is bound to change as more information is found out about the property. I mean, there might be more, again, this is all being ran based on things that I can see and read and, glean from the pictures and stuff. there might be more going on. There might be some deferred maintenance issues. There might be some, who knows? But based on what we can see, this is what the numbers look like. And compared to the rest of the market and what I see, especially places coming out in this area and in this price range, the numbers on it look very good. It's 8% cap rate here. It's a GRM of 8.6, anything that's a gross rent multiplier. So basically, that's just the price of it divided by the annual revenue. So anything in single digits is pretty good, pretty hard to find, especially in any kind of like northwest, north side area, in my opinion. And then the monthly cash flow here, and again, this is based on a 25% down payment, 7% interest rate, which the 7% interest rate these days might even be a tad bit high, but we like to be conservative. You're cash flowing $1,500 a month based on these numbers and everything that we have going on here. Most of these numbers I feel like are actually pretty on the conservative side. So you could probably wouldn't be crazy to expect more than that. Maybe the insurance and things like that. Maybe, there might be some things that get changed around a little bit, but again, this ballpark plus or minus a few percentage points kind of figures here. I would feel comfortable at least starting out saying that this is probably what you would expect to get. And compare this to other places in this price range. I mean, you're lucky to break even with most of the numbers of what I'm seeing in most places around here. So this is pretty good. What I like about this too is that with this much of a spread, with this much of a cash flow here, you have room to play around with even lower down payments if you were to come in and do an owner occupied situation and put the least that you can put down right now on a conventional is 5%. Let's just see. I haven't even done this yet, but let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Even at 5% down, you're still cash flowing. Now, of course, if you're an owner occupant, you're living in one of these units, so that's gonna change the math of that while you're living in the building. But then once you're able to move out of the building in a year or 2 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be, these are the kinds of numbers that you can expect to be getting. And then by then, maybe you've been able to refi, you've gotten into a better rate. Rents have gone up a little bit in that amount of time, maybe. There's all kinds of things that can happen positively or negatively. I mean, with no crystal balls here, but I think the fundamentals in this area are pretty good, and it's been a growing area for a while. I don't see any reason why that should stop anytime soon. So that's what we have for 1836 North Central Park Avenue. If you got a lot out of that or got anything out of that and you would be interested in seeing more breakdowns like this, not necessarily in video form because I don't do these for every property, but if you would like to see some breakdowns of just about every 3 and 4 unit property in the whole city of Chicago, you can come over here to the link somewhere in the vicinity of this video. However, wherever you're watching this, you can click on this link and you'll come to this page where you can sign up for my newsletter. It's called the Chicago Daily Multifam, and I have different tiers of it based on the timeliness of when you get the information. So clients that I'm currently working with get breakdowns of every 3 and 4 unit property within basically 24 hours or within one business day, I guess I should say, of the listing coming out. Level 2 here is you get that within 3 business days, and that's a paid newsletter. And then you can also just follow my blog or follow my Facebook groups and other places that I'm posting the same information, but 10 days removed. So the timeliness of that information is just lagging behind. A lot of times those properties are already under contract and things like that. But if you're just looking to kind of keep an eye on the market and get educated on what things are looking like out there until you're ready to take a next step forward, that's a good option for you. So I have all these options, and by all means, please reach out if you have any questions. And I don't think I've said yet, my name is Jake Lyons with At Properties and Christie's International here in the Chicago area. And I think that's all I have. I hope you got something out of this, and thanks for watching.